And Prabir, if you talk about the workforce composition today in today's organization, till yesterday probably we were talking about how Gen X or millennials are kind of ruling it and stuff like that. And the new kids on the block right now are Gen Z. If you look at any of the new age companies, the average age would be probably hovering around 32 type. So in that context, Prabir, how important it is for a CHRO or a CXO member or a CEO for that matter to think, behave, and act like one of the Gen Z, because they are the majority of the population. One size fits all definitely will not work, but any tips for practicing HR professionals? How do we go ahead and manage? And is it absolutely fine to create multiple cultures within one large umbrella? Your point of view on that.
So again, it's a favorite subject of mine, culture. So let me make again some opening rider. See, we often overly simplify and stereotype employee demographics. Does every Gen Z think the same way? A Gen Z in New York, does he or she think the same way as Gen Z in Hazaribagh? Absolutely. Some things yes, many things not. Right? It's the same issue with the so-called gender diversity. I mean, does having more women as an example necessarily build pluralism by default? Or is it that their socio-economic background or education background is such which is reinforcing that? So I think many people try and do it more amateurishly than I personally believe, right? Having said that, yes, there are certain broad behavioral, dimensions that are changing from an earlier generation to an earlier generation, and the generation span is getting shorter and shorter. So that's the first comment I want. Should the CEO or the CHRO or anyone else be like them? The answer is no. When you start being like everyone else, which is the problem I have, you will become culturally sterile. And the challenge that I personally believe, and again, I've written about it, I've talked about it, and I've hopefully practiced this, is you must always build cultural plurality. Most companies I advise or I have worked with, when I go in, they'll say, oh, the guy is not a culture fit. Why would you want a culture fit? You want to be an innovative company. You want to think differently. It is about plurality, right? Not diversity and inclusion. It's about plurality. And plurality demands, therefore, for subcultures to exist. There can be an overarching culture. I have no problem with that globally, across the company, that these are 5 things. But having said that, can you be more federated, which means nations have their own cultural nuances. So if you're in operations in a country X versus country Y, can you allow for a bit of that cultural flexibility beyond the top 4 or 5 things which run common? By function, would R&D be the same as audit, or sales would be the same as HR? May not be. Do you allow that elbow room for subcultures to exist? So it is more about strategic respect on dimensions of culture. So it is like a pizza. Some things are a given, but can you allow me to dress it up a little different? Unfortunately, most CEOs, most boards, CHROs, unfortunately, are very, very time warped in their thinking about, at least from my point of view, and it's only a point of view. The people are absolutely entitled to their opinion and their doing. But I believe that it is very important to allow for flexibility. Subcultures is not a crime. Subcultures actually is good. Hiring for culture fit is outdated HR thinking, in my view. I have always talked about, please hire for culture plus. Just because some people think different does not mean you should not hire them. Change yourself so that you can get the best out of that particular person's nuance. So similarly, the CEO or the CHR or the senior leadership don't have to become like the millennials or the Gen Z, but can they be more empathetic? Can they be more welcoming? Can they be more open? Can they be truly inviting? And at the end of the day, not everything that Gen Z says is necessarily right? And that is why you're still there, and that's why you're thinking. But a smart leader, a smart HR practitioner who will actually be able to work. Because my logic is there are many young HR people who are coming to the profession, right? And many who will see your series, will find value. They may be working with people who are so-called seemingly geriatric. Today, a search firm called me to do a ref check on a candidate and said that, but the person is 58. Would he have the energy? Now look, and this is a big global search firm. The search firm itself in the question is asking a stereotypical question, and you can get away with it in India, maybe not in the US, right? What has 58 got to do with it? So I think cultures, subcultures is all about ensuring that we should not be stereotypical, because the strategic intent of an organization is to survive, innovate, and grow. And for that, you need a bouquet. And a smart CEO, smart CHR would value all kinds of perspectives, age being only one dimension, and Gen Z or millennials being only one part of the story.
I could not agree more when you picked up that topic for discussion, the gender diversity. That reminds me of one seminar, probably 2.5 years back, attended, and one of the talent acquisition leader, kind of raised a point saying that, hey, I have got a mandate to hire 20% women in the product team, in the tech team. And why do we at all have this, discussion about diversity and inclusion? If it's a meritocracy, high performance driven organization culture, and now we don't, what is the gender of chatbots? And they are making our life easier.
Correct.
So these are the kind of discussions. So
but I just want to add, I think it's a brilliant comment that you made. And I believe this is exactly the line I have been talking about for the last 5 years. I don't attend any more diversity and inclusion conferences, seminars, or even speak at them. I think it's trite, it's overdone, and they're killing the larger cause. Sure. The larger cause is not about celebrating you versus me. It is about the we. And you use the word, which is my favorite word. You focus on merit and talent and ensure all biases are kept away. There is no way women will not get to more positions of both being hired and positions of growth. The problem is of unconscious bias to be treated on both sides, on part of women as well. They have their own set of biases. People say women are more empathetic. I would challenge any woman. I am more empathetic. I will definitely bet I am more empathetic than most women. But the stereotypes, I think the world is getting too stereotypical, and because it sounds nice and there are more claps in the hall when you make these statements, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it strategically relevant. The point about celebrate merit, celebrate talent, there is no way. You don't even actually have to focus on diversity. You just enable the environment. That's all. They will start surfacing up. But the more you force fit, it will create a resistance of non-cooperation, merit getting compromised. Then it becomes literally a you versus me, and that's not good for any organization.
Thank you so much for sharing your point of view. Thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, Prabir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your questions. I think you had very sharp questions, Anil, and it has been a pleasure to being on your show. Good luck with this yeoman service you're doing to help prepare a very different breed of HR professionals. And if I've had any contribution in some small way through this program, I would feel it an honor. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Prabir. You take care and stay safe.
Thank you.